Kamala Das. An introduction, the poem, the text of the poem, glossary, analysis, the hot noon in Malabar, the poem, the text of the poem, glossary, analysis. Let us sum up, answer the check. Kamala Das was the foremost woman poet in India. Right in English, she was revolutionary poet who started the trend towards the frankness and candor in their treatment of a subject which was almost taboo and which women hesitated in deals with. Her poems are about adulterous love, loneliness, and quest for fulfillment in love. In this unit, we are going to read two her poems. After reading this unit, you shall be able to write about the life and work of Kamala Das, discuss Kamala Das' poem and introduction, A Hot Noon in Malabar. Introduction. Kamala Das' poetry is different from those of the other Indian women poets, not merely but the choice of her theme but also by whole the treatment of these themes. She used the English in her poems without undue concern of the correctness and persuasion. She is an excellent poet with exciting feeling for sound, rhythm, imaginary symbols, word to play drama. Like Nasim Nakil, her poetry too gradually become free and loose in sense of form in versification. She is among the few moments writers who have handled many literary genres with success in two distinct languages, English and Malayalam. Kamala Das, March 31, 1934 to May 20, 2009. Kamala Das Madhavi Kutti was born in Malabar in 1934. She was educated privately at home and at school in Bengal and Kerala and belongs to writer family. Her mother Padma Bhushan Nalapattu Balamani Amma was an outstanding Malayalam poet and winner of the Satya Academy Award and the Saraswati Samman, and her father was the editor and managing director of Madhurabhumi, a leading Malayalam language newspaper. She was only 15 when she was married to K. Madhav Das, who rose to become an RBI officer. Kamala Das began writing poetry at the age of 6. She was only 14 when BNN India, edited by Sophia Vaide, published her first poem, but her poetry got recognized when she was awarded the Asian Poetry Prize Institute by PEN Philippines in 1963. From 1971 to 72 and again for 1972-79, she was the poetry editor of the Illustrated Weekly of India. Her poems were published in Opinion, Writing in India, Penguin Books in 1974, The Young Commonwealth Poet in 1965. Kamala Das was the writer and versatile genius. She handled essay, fiction, short stories, criticism, and journalistic features very successful in both the language Malayalam and English. Her writing English is a varied as in Malayalam. She published 7 volumes poetry, 2 novel, Man's 1975, and the Indian English poet Alphabet of Lust 1976, a collection of short fiction, A Doll for the Child Prostitute, and the autobiographical My Story. Her well-known books include Summer in Calicut in 1965, The Descendants in 1967, The Old Play School and Other Stories 1973, and the first volume of collected poems was published in 1984. It wins her Satya Academy Award 1985. Her other collection, The Sword Known How to Say, selection from Kamala Das, was published in 1997. Kamala Das ventured into new territory in Indian English poetry. She succeeds in exploring those labyrinths which inhabit many brave poets even today. In her poetry, she refers to certain matter to boldly and openly, and the reader frequently feels secondized the shock. It is appear the Kamala thus allow the poetic impulse to flow into the poetry before the social convention come to arrest the flow. Raji S. Patke remarked, it would be a mistake to suppose that Das is obsessed with the sex and marriage and the social roles. What she is intent on his honesty of impulse and sense of tradition to the flow of her wants and feelings. Talking about her contribution, C.D. Narasimha once remarked, Kamala Das is first and one Indian poet who owes led to yet or Iliad and trusted her own resources and culture. She not only believed that her own personal experience and her personality were very resources for poetry, but is credit worthy is she is very successful to transform those personal experience into poetic art. Often she describes women's pilot in society dominated by men. Her poetry, like most confidential poetry of Nassim Nickell and Nexton and Sylvia Plath, was the therapeutic effect on the poet as well as on the reader. The poet is not also for her direct public committees. She involved herself in a number of public responsibilities. She was not only great votary of the vegetarian, but she also initiated to Bodhyandra movement of the environmental protection. She played active role in chairman of Forestry Board of Kerala and president of the Film Society of Kerala, based in their politics in order to help the poor and teach speech and hearing impaired children in a school. Suffering from pneumonia on 13th May 2019, she breathed her last at Jahangir Hospital, Pune. Now find out yourself how will you have read the biographical note of Kamala Das with the help of some exercise. If you are unable to answer a simple question, do read the whole of the carefully more. An introduction 1965 The Poem. An introduction is obviously an autobiographical poem written by Kamala Das, which first appeared in her Summer in Calcutta, 1965. The poem is brilliant examples of a confession wherein she unfolded her entire self with extreme frankness and candor. In this poem, the poet described her experience which were strictly private and personal. The poem is revolt against conventionalism and the restraint imposed on Indian women. In this poem, the question whether or not Indians should write in English is put to rest. The poem is also remarkable for its darling invitations. The poem you can go to reduce written a free verse to a college style, which appropriate allow the free flow of writers' thoughts and feelings. The poem is highly relevant of poet, her political knowledge, her linguistic ability, her physical growth, the set experience of her marriage in her quiet for fulfillment of love. What M.K. Naik says, the poet is general also applied for this poem. Kamala Das persona is a nymphomaniac. She is simply every woman who seeks love, and she is beloved and betrayal, expressing her female hunger. The text of the poem. I don't know politics, but I know the names. I don't know politics, but I know the names of those in power and can repeat them like of those in power and can repeat them like days of week or names of months beginning with days of week or names of month beginning with Nehru, I am India, a very brown born in Nehru, I am India, very brown born in Malabar. I speak three languages writing Malabar, I speak three languages. Writing. Two dream in one. Don't write in English, they said. Two dream in one. Don't write in English, they said. English is not your mother tongue. Why not leave? English is not your mother tongue. Why not leave? Me alone, critics, friends visit cousins. Me alone, critics, friends visit cousins. Every one of you will not let me speak in. Every one of you, why not let me speak in? Any language like the language I speak. Any language I like, the language I speak. Become mine is destruction. It's costing queerness. Become mine is distortion, is queerness. All mine, mine alone. In is it is half English, half. All mine, mine alone. It is half English, half. Indian funny perhaps, but it is honest. Indian funny perhaps, but it is honest. It is a human as I am human, don't. It as human as I am human, don't. You see, it voices my joy, see, my longing, my hope, and it is useful to me as a cause. You see, it voice of my joy, my loss, my hopes, and it is useful to me as a calling. Is to cross to roaring to the lines, it is human speech, the speech of the mind that is. Is to crow roaring to the lines, it is human speech, the speech of the mind that is here and not there, a mind that sees and here and is aware, not the deaf, blind speech. Here and not there, a mind that sees and here and is aware, not deaf, blind speech. Of trees in streams or of monsoon clouds, or of rain or the inherent muttering of the blazing, of trees in streams, or of monsoon clouds, or of rains or the inherent muttering of the blaze. Frunal pair I was child, and later they. Frunal pair I was child, and later they. Told me I grew, for I became tall, my limbs. Told me I grew, for I became tall, my limbs. Shawled and one or two places sprouted hair. When shawled and one or two places sprouted hair. When I asked for love, not knowing what else to ask. I asked for love, not knowing what else to ask. For he drew a young of 16 into the bedroom and closed the door. For he drew a young of 16 into the bedroom and closed the door. He did not beat me, but my sad woman body felt so beaten. But my sad woman body felt so beaten. The weight of my breast and womb crushed me. I shrunk. The weight of my breast and womb crushed me. I shrunk pitifully. Then I wrote a short and my pitifully. Then I wrote a short and my brother's trouser cut my hair short and ignored. Brother's trouser cut my hair short and ignored. My womanliness dress in saris, be girl. My womanliness dress in saris, be girl. Be wife, they said. Be embroidered, be cook. Be wife, they said. Be embroidered, be cook. A quarrel with the servant, fit in, ho. Be quarrel with the servant, fit in, ho. Belong, carry the categories, don't sit. Belong, carry the categories, don't sit. On wall on a peep in throughout lace draped windows. On wall on the peep in the throw our lace draped windows. By Amy or be Kamala or bitter. Or Ami or be Kamala or better. Still be Madhavikutty, it is the time to. Still be Madhavikutty, it is time to. Choose a name, a role. Don't play pretending games. Choose a name, a role. Don't play pretending game. Don't play say schizophrenia or be a nympho. Don't play the schizophrenia or be a nympho. Don't cry embracing loud when jilted in love. Don't cry embracing loud when jilted in love. I met a man, loved him, call. I met a man, loved him, call. Him not by any name, him not by any name. He is every man, he is every man. Who want a woman? Who want a woman? Just as I am every woman. Just as I am every woman. Who seek love? Who seeks love? In him the hungry hesitate. The hungry hesitate. Or river in me, the ocean trustless. Or river in me, the ocean trustless. Waiting, who are you? I ask each everyone. Waiting, who are you? I ask each and everyone. The answer is, it is I, everywhere. And the answer, it is I, everywhere. And everywhere I see one who call himself. Everywhere I see the one who call himself. If in this world he is tightly packed like the if in this world he is tightly packed like the sword in his sheath, it is would drink lonely. Sword in this sheath, it is I would drink lonely. Drinks at 12 midnight in hotel of stranger town. Drink at 12 midnight in hotel of stranger town. It is I would laugh. It is I would make love. It is I would laugh. It is I would make love. And then feel shame. It is I would lie dying. And then I feel shame. It is I would lie die. With a rattle in my throat, I am sinner. With a rattle in my throat, I am sinner. I am saint. I am the beloved and the betrayed. I am saint. I am the beloved and the betrayed. I have no joy with are not yours, no. I have no joy with are not yours, no. H's which are not yours, it too call myself I. H's which are not yours, it too call myself I. Glossary. Now three languages Malayalam, Kannada and English written into two Malayalam and English. Dream in one Malayalam, it is mother tongue in which unusual dream. Why not leave me alone? A gambling, the poet spirit instinctively rebelling against all form of justice. It is an human, and I am human, just as a human is liable to make mistake. So Kamala language is not without error. The speech of the mind language through which feelings such as joy, desire, apprehension, etc. Man's mind is expressed here and not there, to the point and not relevant. Ignorant muttering, speech in a low voice and meant to be heard by others, blazing, bearing strongly. Ask for love, expressly beloved of the innocent young girl who was sought love but expressed raw lust just left her feeling assaulting and defiled. The quarrel with the servant. People advise Kamala to be a typical housewife, to quarrel with the servant as otherwise the latter would get upper hand. Belong, to feel comfortable and happy with the situation on his place in. Categorize, the people with traditional thinking who consider men and women as distinct category have specific dress and roles. Sacrifice is mental illness with a person who is unable to link thought, emotion and behavior, leading to withdrawal from reality and relationship. Uniform is a woman with a mental disorder make compulsive sexual behavior. Just in love, abandoned by a lover. The hunger, hesitate river, and imagining through which lover's strongly sexual passion is reflected. As a river rushes towards the ocean for union, so the lovers move towards the below for fulfillment of sexual desire. The ocean, trade waiting, and imagine through which below in fight, patient fulfillment, sexual union with her love is expressed. Ocean here is object, chorus of the beloved psyche state. I am sinner, I too. The poet some of her introduced by identify herself with countless others around, all of whom respect a bundle of country features. Analysis. And in Roshi itself, a portrayal and anatomy of Kamala's mind. The poem recoups the major incident of her life which have affected her experience. The poem is remarkable for its structure, even though it encompasses a diversity of fact and circumstance. The rule of punctuation had been fully observed. The lines are almost of same length. The words used to uses of uh, phraseology show Da's talent of choosing right words and putting them in the most effective order. The poem contains many felicitation of words and phrase. Written free verse. The poem has in neither any rhyme scheme or any material arrangement. The natural speech, rhymes, pauses, and punctuation make the poem conversation in style. When you read the poem, the first thing that may strike your mind is the title and introduction. Whose introduction does not talk about. A little further, it is relevant. The poem is an introduction of the poet herself, but deeper analysis tell her the introduction of every woman. The open the line of the poem. I don't know politics, but I know the name of those power. Beginning with Nehru make obvious, and she does not want to assume any political identity. She would rather refer the national identity. Mark the follow line. I am Indian, very brown in color, brown in Malabar. Here is the poet uses the word which is identify mark Indian, brown in color and brown in Malabar. The narrator boasts to her language prophecy. I speak three languages, write into two, dream in one. To provoke and she capable, right fully aware of her role and responsibility as one. Her Indian identity and linguistic ability is emphasized to reinforce her calm of writing English. The following illustrate advance her calm further. The language I speak become mine is distortion, is squareness, all mine, mine alone. It is half English, half Indian. Funny phrase, but is honest. It is human, as I am human. Don't you see? The narrator asserts the language with its distortion of grammar, structure, or pronunciation belong the user to matter what nation they may belong to. The narrator explains the language of human, liable to error. As the narrator is human, she makes her case in use of English very strong by claiming that is it's useful to her calling. It's crows to roaring the lion. English come to naturally to her that in it she can voice their joy, her longing, and her hope. The narrator is all waxed with the suggestion of regarding her use of language. This she suffer illustrate a poet and series of imagine of clarify what writing in English is not like. She said English, not the deaf, blind speech of trees in streams of the monsoon clouds or the rain or the incoherent mutter of the blazing funeral prayer. The poet shifts to another topic when narrator begins to speak about her early marriage and her consequent psychological hurt. He drew a young of 16 into the bedroom and closed the door. He did not beat me, but my side the woman body felt too beaten. The weight of my breast and warm crushed me. I shrunk and pitifully. The above lines are remarkable in their candor and clarity. The whole picture of the dissatisfied experience of sex that is young innocent girl has become vivid, and last two lines created the true picture of his consequence. As a mark of posture, the poet resorted to drawing western material array. Then I wrote a shirt, my brother's trouser, cut my hair short, and ignored my womanliness. This is often revolt create a strong resentment among the relatives and well wishers. Their sharpness of a reaction is reflected very effectively through the number of instructions that the poet describes as having faltering at her. Fit it how, blowing, cried and categorized. Don't sit. on wall or peep through our lace draper window by Amy or Kamala or better still be Madhavi Kutti. It is time to choose a name, a role. You can see the fit and belongs are simple, but their arrangement is poetic scheme make the expressive and profound. Similarly, word cry and categorize too are equally simple, very suggestive meaning. For example, the word cry carry with the sensitivity and set of force and categorize refers to people with the traditional possible outmode way of thinking who understand things the term of category and class only. The latter suggestion that the narrator must never pretend to be split personality suffering from a psychology disorder or act as nympho show further gripping and more commander for her. This is not all. Narrator is first instruction. Don't cry. Embracing loud when jilted in love. The poem now moved to Kamala Das ideas of man-woman relationship. He is a everyman who wants to a woman, just I am every woman who seek love in him, the hungry haste of river in mine, the ocean trailer's festing. He is a verse one to seek in notable one refers every man who need a woman for his service as a subordinate. Seek means every woman who badly miss love and keep looking for what they want their whole life. The last two lines through the uses of beautiful imagination very successfully explain the sexual behavior of men and women. The hungry haste of rivers and oceans thusly waited represent the psychological state of men and women respectively. You may not hear the word I is repeated at the number of time and emphasis. The woman's quiet to identify, explain the nature and position of woman. The narrator say, I am sinner, I am saint, I am the beloved and the betrayed. The point she tried to make is that be it man or woman, none is wholly a sinner to wholly a saint. We are balance of both. In that case, there is no point of view the woman as in a fall. Finally, Kamala Das' idea fulfilling love is neatly presented in I have no joy which are not yours, no H's which are not yours. A hot noon in Malabar, the poem. In this poem, the poet reminds about the landscape, the climate, and the adventure of Malabar in the summer season. In this initially personal and emotional poem of Kamala Das praise her childhood memories, which still remain so deeply itchy her heart and bringly her joy. The poet chosen word carefully to create a pour out of same feeling which have made those days memorable. A hot noon in Malabar celebrate a long for hot noon in Malabar because the poet associates with the wild man, wild thoughts in wild love. The theme of the poem is different from the other poems you just read. Unlike that one, the theme of the poem is happy memory of childhood and adolescence, which refers all human beings, especially in moment of crisis. Autobiographical in tone, the poem is fulfill a realistic imaginary and marked by verbal facilitation. The text of the poem. This is a noon for beggar with winning voice, a noon for men who come from hills, with a parrot in a cage and for fortune cards. All saints with chimes of Kurva girls. With old eyes, who read palm in light, sing song. Voice for blinding cellar, who spread on the cool black floor those red and green and blue bangles are covered with the dust of rot, for all of them whose was preferring rough males grow crack on the heels, so that when they clamber up the porch the noise was grating. Strange, this is none of strangers who part, the window drap and pierce in, the hot eyes brimming with the sun, not seeing things in the shadow rooms and turn away and look so yearly and brick leading well. This is no for strangers with a mistress in their eyes dark silent, or ones who rarely speak at all, so that when they speak, there is a voice run wild, like jungle voice. Yes, this is a noon for wild men, wild thoughts, wild love. To be here far away is torture, wild feet struggling up the dust. This hot noon at my home in Malabar, and I so far away. Glossary: visioning completely long drawn out of gambling. Saying with them, turning yellow with the dust and frequently used. Kuruva, a tribe, a bird to catch us, basket marker and fortune teller. Sing song, raising the falling, monotonous. Climber, climbing with difficulty. Gathering harsh jagger. Window dress curtain on the window, peer peep. Bring with the sun, filled with the sunlight. Yarging with great desire, longing. Analysis. A Hot in Noon in Malabar is an autobiography of Kamala Das, recalls some her experience in her home in Malabar. This is Negolistic poem. Kamala Das seemed to be fascinated by time at noon, which the poem clearly relevant. For the poet, the sun and its heat represent a glow and bursting of the passion, and thus the external nature is bored in close associated with her inner nature markable by consuming canal air. Its title is not just about what happened to the people, animal, planets, and intimate things during the hot summer noon in Malabar. Its meaning becomes clearly on when we understand in the terms of background of the poet past memories. Do note that the word noon is represented 6 times in the poem to create atmosphere of the time of the day. We can also say the noon in the dominant rhythm of the poem. The memory tag associated with noons are noon of beggars, a noon of men carrying parrots in a cage of fortune cards, a noon of strangers, a part of window drap in a pier, a noon for the straight who speak in the wild jungle voice, and above all, it was noon for wild men, wild thoughts, and wild love. The last use of noon is prefixed with hot and poet regarding it loss. It hot noon. It my home in Malabar, and I so far away. We can see here that the phrases jungle voice, advocate convey the poet emotion, enacts and real drama, and improve the poet's particular tone. Every epithet uses in the poem is effective and grows with emotion. There is a perfect fusion of sound and sense. We can further illustrate the poet with observing the poem, the speech pattern of various characters, the uses of words, winning voice, sing song, gathering noise, and jungle voice created beautiful sound imaginary. You may also note the hot noon in Malabar is not about temporary experience of an honor or a day. It refers to whole summer season recurring year after year. The sense created to the past is realistic. The moods of the poem is sad and tuned in somber. The theme of the poem is loose, the poet. Sweet experience as the Malabar home. The dominant rhyme of the poem, Mediterranean round noon. Kamala Das successfully created the atmosphere Malabar home through the imagined respite of men and women who pass her home in the summer afternoon. Those men and women include men for hills with the parrots in a cage of fortune card. Kurva girls who read the palms in the light sing song bangle seller with the red and green and blue bangles and straight who parted the window display the fear of the shelter. Another thing, it can be observed that becomes imaginary realistic. It is in part authenticity of the poem. The realism of the imagery enhanced by such detail as a bangle seller. Feet covered with the dust of rods and appear the crack on the heels. Strangers deceived by the brightness of sun and unable to see things, shadow rooms turning away. Some of the phrases include a couple of smiles show the verbal facilities which Kamala Das is capable of devastating her poetry. The bangle seller feet the warrior of miles. and horse eyes in Bangalore cellar, brimming with the sun and straight, who rare spoke in with they speak. Their voice ran while jungle voice are mocking verbal dictionary. You may note the phrase Devontae Rush smile. The word divorcer has been used metaphorically to convey the idea of traveler convey miles and miles of dusty roads. Bringing with the sun is around the expensive phrase which do not fill with sunlight in the hot sun. The eyes of the traveler seem happy, fulfilled to the brims with the light and sun. Similarly, the poem uses the most appropriate smile like jungle voice, which means like sound, which are heard in the jungle. Here in the jungle. Through his imaginary, the poet carried quite a realistic scene and constructed in with a personal loneliness. The give rise in thoughts of wild men and wild love experience during the summer season in Malabar. The feeling of homesickness and affectly been expressed in the words to be here, far away, fortune. The affective virtue enhanced line with follow. While feel strict up and dusty this hot noon at my home in Malabar, and so of any. Kamala Das poetry does not have much music or any melodic quality. This poem resembles more that is resemble poetry. Unlike other poems, this is poem through proper use of comma and semicolon add a quality of a clarity and lucidity. The language used to poem is condensed. The poem is also more for examine the possible economy in the use of words. Let us sum up. In this unit, the first read about Lokavaladas first life and works, and then two poems is detailed. You will note that unlike some other poets may have reader, she is modesty has approached her poems, formed part of the trend in the experiment in the English poetry after 1916. An introduction is kind of self-portrayal by a hot noon in Malabar could be retell the remains of childhood. Both poems have been handling differently but initially personal and autobiographical.